Hi, welcome to Wings for Life. My name is Ann Edenfield-Sweet. I'm the Executive Director and founder of Wings. And I'm so glad you're with us tonight. We are in for a treat. We have a very special police officer from Albuquerque. He has spent 33 years doing just about everything and talking to him. Oh my gosh, he's been undercover. He's worked in the drug unit, on the streets, all kinds of things, training. And now he is the advanced training unit instructor. So he does the recurrent training and the training for the current officers. So he is a man that is so knowledgeable about everything, and we are going to learn from him tonight. And when we turn for help, who do we call? We dial 911, and we want those police officers to be there. And so we want everybody to understand, what do we do? How do we help the police? What do we do when we get stopped by the police? And how can they truly be our friends? So, Rob, I'm so thankful you're here tonight. So come on and teach everybody about life of the police world.
Thank you. Hello again, I'm Rob Duran. I've been a police officer here in New Mexico for right about 33 years now. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I'll tell you a little bit about myself just so we're not total strangers. Born and raised in Los Angeles, California, and I grew up in one of the oldest Crip neighborhoods in Los Angeles. When I was 3 or 4 years old, my dad got arrested and he went to prison. And he was in prison for 46 consecutive years. Not in and out of prison, 46 consecutive years. And in fact, he was on death row for a few years until his sentence got commuted. You could imagine what he did to go to prison. He was convicted of 3 armed robberies. And in the commission of those armed robberies, he shot and killed 5 people. One of the robberies, he killed 2. The next one, I believe he killed 1 person. And then in the next robbery, he killed 2 more. And so they were going to send him to electric chair in California. But again, he got commuted, and he did not die. And in fact, I went to go visit the prison. I think it was in San Quentin, back when I was like 8 years old. I went to go visit him at that time. And then again, my wife and kids and I, we went to go visit him in prison back, I think, in 2014. That was the last time I saw him alive. He actually died in 2019. And I went to his janazah up there in Oakland, California, which is his Muslim funeral. And when I was there, I met a lot of his ex-mates that were on death row with him in California. They were all out there. There were a bunch of them. And I also ran into a bunch of Black Panthers who came to his funeral. So he was associated with the Black Panthers back in the 60s as well. He would do his crimes up and down the California coast, from San Diego up to Oakland. And Oakland's a home of the Black Panthers. So I made some new friends up there in Oakland. Some of these ex-Black Panthers, former Black Panthers. Now they're running programs. They're good community members and things of that nature. Now I got pictures with a bunch of them, but I didn't have their permission, so I won't put their pictures up. And also one of the guys that I met out there was the same guy who did the janazah for Muhammad Ali. He was a friend of my father's too. I think his name is Zayed Shakir. He's an imam out there. And so I met a lot of great people out there. And that's how my life started out. Growing up in LA, when I had to go to school, I walked to school with a bunch of gang members. There's about 7 or 8 of us that walked together. And I wasn't a gang member, but to get to school safely sometimes and not to get my shoes taken or my pockets run through, we'd have to walk to school together. And that's how we did every day. We waited the corner for each other. When everybody got there, we had to walk through some neighborhoods that weren't very friendly with my neighborhood. And if anything happened, we'd all have to get down and take care of business at that point. But luckily, since there was 7 or 8 of us, nothing ever happened. So that's just how I started off in California. Came to New Mexico back in '84, went to UNM, played football, dropped out of school. And then in 1989, I joined the police department. And that's what we're going to talk to a little bit about today, what to do when you're stopped by the police. That's a question I get asked a lot. And I know nobody out there likes being stopped by the police. I don't like getting stopped by the police, and I've been stopped by the police, and I'm a police officer. It gives you that uneasy feeling. You hate seeing the red and blue lights behind you. Boom! Hit the siren behind you. You don't like hearing that. You don't like seeing it. But we're going to talk about some of the things that you do. And actually, when I was putting this list together, some things that you don't do when the police pull you over to make that interaction go a lot more smoothly. First of all, pull over as soon as you can. I've pulled over elderly people before who had no idea that I'm behind them. They would drive for several blocks, then finally they notice you behind them. That happens. And I've had people over the years who would keep driving 4 or 5 miles till they got home. For some reason, they thought once they got home, it was a safety zone. There's nothing we could do with them. By the time they got home, I had 4 or 5 of my buddies with me, and things didn't, go as well as they had planned. A couple of people had warrants, and we gave them the tickets that they needed to get, towed the vehicle if it needed to be. But pull over as soon as you can, guys. Pull over in a safe area, and just don't keep driving, okay? Because once you get home, it's not a safety zone for you either. Another thing you need to do is stay in your vehicle. I've had people before jump out of their cars and start coming back toward me. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe this is an ambush. Maybe they're coming back to fight me. So I open my door to get ready for a battle, and they look up and shocked if I have something in my hand that they weren't expecting to see. So please stay in your vehicle, guys, okay? If I need you to come out of your vehicle for any reason, the police officer will let you know. But a lot of attacks against the police have been people getting out of their cars, coming back toward us. Believe me, we make enough money to get out of our cars to come see you, okay? So please stay in your vehicle unless you're directed to come out for some reason. Another thing that you can do to make this go easier is to roll down your driver's window. In my 33 years, I've gone up to cars, people's windows are up, and I'm sitting there looking at them, they're looking at me, looking at them, they're looking at me, to finally have to tap on the window for them to roll the window down. So when a police officer comes up, have your window down. And it's also a good idea to already have your documents with you, because you already know you're going to need your driver's license. You're going to need your registration. You're going to need your proof of insurance. Now, if you don't have them, don't sit there and fumble around your car for 20 minutes like you're looking for them. Okay, you know whether you have them or whether you don't have them. You should have those with you. If you don't have them, let me know. Hey, officer, I don't have a driver's license, okay? We can look that up. You don't have registration or insurance, we can work around that, okay? Everything's not a death sentence, guys, okay? So if you don't have those documents, let us know up front, and we can work around those, okay? Not that big of a deal, all right? If you have a warrant, we're going to find out you have a warrant. Some warrants we can work around. I stopped a guy one time. He had a $25 warrant because he didn't get his dog registered, okay? We were very busy. I told the guy, hey, go ahead and take care of this warrant. I can give you 2 weeks, okay, to take care of this warrant. If not, I'm going to come knock on your door. $25, he took care of it, okay? We were very busy, and I didn't have a lot of time to deal with that warrant. It would have took me out of service for like 2 hours. So there's some things we can always work around, okay, guys? So if something like that, we can fix that. If it's nighttime, another thing that you can do is turn on the interior light of your vehicle, all right? That would keep us from taking the flashlight and shining the flashlight in your face in the car. I know that bugs a lot of people with those flashlights. They're very bright and they can blind you, okay? So you could go ahead and turn your dome light on and make things easier for all of us, okay? That goes a long way. Another thing you can do is remain calm. I once had a lady, she's a little bit older. I pulled her over, came up to her window, and she was in tears. She was boo-hooing. She was sobbing. She told me she'd been driving for over 50 years, and she's never in her life been pulled over by a police officer. And this was traumatic for her. So I understood what she was going through. Again, nobody likes being pulled over. So I sat there and talked with her for a little while, tried to calm her down. And for you other people out there, there's no need to get into an argument. Again, a lot of things we can fix, you can take care of. It could be simple as a broken tail light. Hey, sir, your tail light's out. You need to get that fixed. You're done. That quick. Sometimes people want to argue, hey, I wasn't speeding. Yes, sir, you were going 70 miles an hour in a school zone. You can't do that, okay? Something we have to take care of right then and right there. So remain calm, because usually your attitude dictates how the traffic stop goes. I want it to be a calm, professional traffic stop. Hey, I'm Officer Duran. The reason why I pulled you over, you were going 40 miles an hour in a 20-mile-per-hour zone, Then we can conduct a traffic stop from there. But if I get up to the car and you're, yelling and screaming, that's going to get me amped up, and the traffic stop may not go that well. And before you know it, you may have 3 or 4 police officers out there dealing with you instead of dealing with me in a quick, quiet, professional manner. So please keep calm. That can dictate the entire traffic stop. Another thing that you should do is keep your hands in plain view. I don't know any police officer that likes going up to a car and the person is reaching around in the car, digging under the seat. Car's a mess. You got McDonald's bags all over the car. You're reaching everywhere. Keep your hands in plain view. Again, I'll probably tell you that if I come to your car and you're reaching around, until you go ahead and keep your hands in plain view. If you're reaching for a driver's license or whatever, let me know what you're doing. I'm reaching in my glove box for my driver's license. It's in the glove box. Okay? Just don't start reaching around in the car, because the traffic stop, again, can go south from there. So please keep your hands in plain view. Again, that goes a long way. Again, if you're going to reach in your back seat or anything like that, let us know in advance. Say, officer, I got to reach in my back seat to grab my wallet. It's on the black back floorboard or wherever it may be. Let me know in advance, and again, we can go from there. All right, again, there's going to be several documents that we need. Again, I said driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance. If you have a suspended driver's license or you don't have those documents, guys, those things are fixable. Okay, to drive a vehicle, you need those documents. So, again, it may cost a little money to get those, but please, you need those documents to drive a car. I don't want to tow a vehicle if I don't have to. If you don't have insurance, I'm supposed to tow your vehicle, and I'd rather not do that. It's going to be a fine incurred to get your car out of impound. So if you can get the documents that you need, I'd much rather for you to have those documents. And I don't like writing tickets. So I'd rather not write you any tickets. I'd rather not tow your vehicle. So if we come to a situation where you don't have your documents, I may have to do that. But please, I'd much rather not. And now, come up to weapons possession. In New Mexico, it's okay to have a weapon in your vehicle. I don't care. It's your right. I carry one in my vehicle. Pretty much everywhere I go, I have a weapon with me. So if you're just a citizen, a regular citizen that doesn't have any felonies, it's okay to have a gun in your car. You could let us know or not know. You can say, officer, I have a gun underneath my floorboard. Great, that's fine. Don't touch it while we're here. You'll be good to go. Now, if you're a felon and you have a weapon, that's going to create other problems for us. Because I'm sure the felons know, people that have been charged and convicted of felonies know you're not supposed to have a firearm. So please, guys, if you're a felon, don't have a firearm in your vehicle, in your home, or in your possession. That's something that you know, something that your probation officer has told you 1,000,000 times. So please, that puts us in a bad situation. We find a weapon in your car and you're a felon, then we're going to have to arrest you. So please, those are things that you can take care of, guys. Legal weapons, illegal weapons, please don't do that, okay? Makes our job a lot easier. Another thing everybody should know is your rights. Everybody has constitutional rights. When I stop a vehicle, say I stop you for speeding, my questions need to be related to that stop. We've done some legal updates here in New Mexico and we're better informed and educated now that if I stop a car for speeding, the questions need to be related to the speeding stop. I'm not supposed to ask you about weapons. I'm not supposed to ask you about drugs unless I pull a car over and I can smell drugs in the car or something like that. Otherwise, the stop needs to be, my questions need to be related to the stop. And that's something that we're getting better here in Albuquerque. I've done it before. Stop a vehicle and ask the driver, do you have any weapons or drugs in the car? And we're not supposed to do that anymore, guys, okay? So please, know your rights. You have the right to remain silent. If I come to your car and ask you for your driver's license and information, you have that, you give it to me, and I ask you where you're coming from, officer, I don't want to answer that. And I can't force you to answer that question, so know your rights. You don't have to answer any questions. You don't have to tell me where you're going. You don't have to tell me where you're coming from. Unless a crime has occurred, you're being questioned about a crime, you don't have to answer it. But still, no, the questions may go into a different direction at that time. So know your rights, guys, okay? You don't have to answer any questions. You do have to provide the documents to me if you have them. If not, then you might be cited or car may be towed if you don't have them. But still know your rights. You don't have to answer any questions. That's everybody's constitutional right to not to incriminate themselves. All right, here's some other things. If an officer asks you, you're just driving around, stop for speeding or whatever, and if an officer asks to search your vehicle, you can refuse. If that's all they're pulling you over for is a speeding ticket, stop sign violation, you do not have to consent to a search of your person or the vehicle. Unless, again, they're investigating the crime. If they're investigating a crime where, say, there was a burglary, people pointed out your vehicle, gave you a license plate, said, yeah, I saw the guy, he put a TV in the trunk of his vehicle, then that gives us a reason to search the car, and we can do it at that point. But just for a routine stop, your car shouldn't be searched, your person shouldn't be searched, so please know your rights, guys. You have the right to say, hey, I don't give consent to be searched, my vehicle or my person, unless there's some extenuating circumstances there. Like I say, maybe a crime has been committed. If the police officer believes that your vehicle contains evidence, they can search your car. Again, if I pull your car over and I actually see anything in there like in plain view, then your car can be searched. If I see drugs in the vehicle, yeah, we can conduct a search at that point. But if I don't see anything that's illegal in your car, you can always say, hey, no, sorry, but you're not searching my car. And then we'll leave it at that point right there. So please, guys, knowing your rights is critical. Everybody says, yes, I do know my rights. I know my rights. Most people don't. You can Google what your rights are, guys, and find out. That's very important now, to know what your rights are if you come in contact with a police officer. Now, another thing, if we come to your home for some reason, you don't have to consent to a search of your home, again, unless there are extenuating circumstances. Give you an example. Went to a call a couple years back. Neighbors called and said, yeah, we heard a woman screaming in this apartment. There was a lot of banging going on. We think somebody's been hurt in there. We get to the door, get to the house, knock on the door. The guy opens the door part ways and says, no, nobody's here. I'm the only one here. We call our dispatcher. Yeah, we heard the witnesses heard the noise, but never saw anybody leave the apartment. So, okay, and then we kind of look around the shoulder there. We see table overturned, some things that were disheveled in the house. So at that point, we had enough to go in there and search the house to make sure nobody in there was injured. In fact, in the back bedroom, a female had been beaten. She was bleeding, she was injured. So at that point, we were able to call rescue for her and get her the medical attention that she needed. So there are times when the officer can search your home or come into your home without a warrant. But there have to be articulable facts as to why we did what we did, okay? We had neighbors calling, saying that they heard a violent struggle in the house. We saw damage in the house, overturned tables, things on the floor, broken glass. So at that point, as a police officer, we have a duty to go in there as a community caretaker and make sure everybody in that, he didn't want us to come in, it was his apartment. But the fact is we had articulable facts to say this is why we needed to go in there, and we did our jobs. She was injured, she needed medical attention. If we hadn't done that, and if we hadn't done our jobs, then it could come back on us. We could have gotten in trouble for not, following up on that. So please, know your rights, guys. Now, if you're ever in a vehicle, this is important, guys. If you're ever in the car and say there's a child in the car with you, a juvenile in the car with you, and for some reason we have to arrest you, okay? We're going to make every effort that we can to find somebody to take care of that child. In fact, we're going to allow you to make phone calls to maybe somebody in your family, a friend, a trusted adult who can take that child. So we're not just going to take the child immediately and put them into, state custody. That's one thing we don't want to do. We rather find a family member or a trusted friend of your family to come take the child. Again, over my 33 years, we've had people call their sister, and she comes, she's high as a kite, or she's drunk, coming to pick the kid up. Of course, we're not going to let her take the kid. She drove there drunk, so she's going to get arrested for DWI. Then, then we'll go try to find another family member, another friend. That's going to be our first thing, is the child, to find a good, safe place for the child, where the child is comfortable, where the child is safe. Like I say, CYFD is not always the best option. So those are things that we're going to do. Rather not have your car towed. If you're in a car, you're driving drunk, your friend's in the car with you, and they're not drunk, and you give consent to your friend to take the vehicle, well, I'd much rather for your friend to drive the car than us to tow the car. We tow the car, again, you're going to get those extra fees, which you might not have to get your car, because the DWI itself is going to cost you a lot of money to get the car out. So we're trying to make strides now as best we can, even if you have been charged with a crime, to make not the burden on you not as high. If I can get somebody to take your vehicle, I'd much rather for that to happen. If I can find a family member to take the child, we'd much rather for that to happen. So those are things that we're working on now to get better as a police department. We know we've had some shortcomings over the years, and we're always open to suggestions and make things better for the people that we serve. Again, we've fallen short, especially here in Albuquerque. People know now we have the Department of Justice here in Albuquerque to help us make some changes. It's been tough. They put a lot of restrictions on us. We're arresting a lot less people, and crime here in the city has surged. You ask people now, what is your biggest concern in Albuquerque? Most people are going to say crime. So as a police department, we feel we've not done everything we could do possibly to help that out. So that's one of the things that we train on now. We're constantly training. We're constantly trying to get better, constantly trying to up, what we can do to make that better. And we know right now we're falling a little bit short. And that's why we are constantly training, constantly getting better, constantly seeking outside help. Okay, what are we doing wrong? How can we get better? Even some of the people that we've dealt with, that we've arrested, they have actually some good suggestions on how our interactions can be. We've gone out to some of the jails and talked to some of our people we've arrested. We're trying to do more community outreach now, because getting out there talking to the citizens has been a huge boom for us. Getting out there, sometimes it's not pleasant. Sometimes we catch a lot of heat from the citizens, but at times we may deserve some of that. So we're trying to get better with that to the people that we serve. So, again, guys, anytime you're stopped by a police officer, use common sense, all right? Use common sense and try not to amp it up until it turns into a violent situation. Because I pulled some stats, and there's about 50,000 police interactions with civilians every day, about 50,000 across the country. Most of those go great, most of them without a problem. That's about 20 million interactions with civilians and citizens throughout the year. Like I say, 99.9 of those go without a hitch. But when that 0.1% goes off the rails, then it becomes a huge problem. We look at what happened in Minneapolis with the George Floyd situation. That changed a lot in law enforcement again. Now we're doing training on that. If you see your partner going overboard, you better rein him back in. Because we saw the officers that were with George Floyd, they are fighting for their lives now as far as staying out of prison. The guy who kneeled on his neck, he's in prison for 20-something years. Good. Go away. We retired to him. But his partners, and that guy, Derek Chauvin, the cop who knelt on his neck, I bet you now he wishes somebody would have pulled him off. Those were two rookies that were with them, and they were afraid. They were brand new. But now we're training. We don't care who you are, how long you've been on. If you see something going wrong, something going to the left, you better step in and you better do something. Because now your livelihood, your career, your freedom is going to be on the line as well. We saw that in Minneapolis, and it's happening across the country now, where we're training to hold each other accountable. I don't want my partner to go to jail, and I damn sure don't want to go to jail for something that somebody else did. So that's how we're training now. That's how we're trying to get better. So with that being said, I want to thank the Wings of Life for inviting me here. I'm so happy they did. I enjoyed coming out here, trying to give you a little bit of information that I had to make interactions between you and the police better the next time you have an interaction with the police. I wanted to go smoothly, and I'm sure you do as well. You don't want to go to jail. You don't want to go to prison. So use common sense. We'll try to treat each other with respect and make this go a lot smoother than maybe it's gone in the past. So hopefully, moving forward in the future, we can do things a little bit better and make things better for us all. So thanks again, folks, for hearing me out.
Wow. I knew it was going to be good. It was great. Thank you, Rob, so much. I learned some things, and I hope all of you learned some things too. Every time I hear a police officer speak, I learn about some new things that we should be aware of. And I'm really pleased to hear that other police officers are watching and trying to help the fellow officers to do the right thing. Because that's, of course, what we all want. And we want those 20 million calls and boy, that's amazing, and 50,000 calls a day to police officers. We want to be able to turn to the police and know that they're there to help us and support us, and that's why we turn to them. And so I'm so thankful to know Rob and officers like Rob. If you are online, you can go to our website, and we have a placemat. It looks like this, and it has some tips here, what to do when you're stopped by the police officer. So if you weren't taking notes, we've got some notes here for you. We also have some manners. I'd like to go over them. So here are some manners regarding police officers. Be respectful and courteous to all law enforcement. Know the do's and don'ts when it comes to a traffic stop. So he talked about them right now, and we've got them on this placemat. Be polite. Offer a helping hand if you see a situation and the officers could use some help, and do not ever take your life for granted. And we need to thank our police officers, because every day they go to work and they could be facing very dangerous situations. And as we know on the news, many of these officers go to work and that is their last day. And how tragic is that? We wouldn't want that for anybody. Certainly not for people that are out there to protect us. So I'm so thankful for Rob. Now, I always like to close with a story. And I will say this, if you are joining us now, YouTube, Facebook, or of course by Zoom, every Friday now at 3 o'clock Mountain Time, we've got a program, a podcast that we call Wings Week in Review. So we review all the wonderful things that are happening at Wings every week, and then we talk about them. We bring in guests. If you'd like to be a guest, let us know. Sean Cowgill is heading up that program for us every Friday, and we've done several of them already, and they've been so much fun, and we learn a lot, and then we get to share with the audience. And if you've got questions, we go in immediately into questions. If you got a question, we'll try to answer it if we're there, because we're always there live. And so we interact with the audience. So I hope you'll join us for that. And I send out an email every week about that, because it has a different link, because it has its own special YouTube link. So contact me. My email is Ann Edenfield at wingsfly, and that's fli.org if you're trying to find out about that program, or go to our website. Now, I always close with a story, and actually I had a story about the importance of life, and it related to police officers, but for some reason, I picked up on my desk a poem that actually I was going to share with the staff tomorrow. It was written by an inmate after we had done a family day back in August of 2010. But I just thought it's always the time for this, because it's called The Time for Wings of Life. And it was written to me. And this was written by Armando H. Montez Sr., August the 2nd, 2010. There are times to be born and to celebrate. There are times for love and care. There are times for joy and dancing. There are times for learning and understanding. There are times for sharing and giving. There are times for building and rebuilding. There are times for speaking and listening. There are times for shouting and silence. But now it's time to share the warmth of Wings for Life. Now it's time for Wings for Life to open its wings to the communities and share its knowledge, love, and care. Now it's time for all of us to open our hearts and feelings so Wings for Life can help others with their lives. Now it's time to close this poem. The time will never end for Wings for Life. Now it's time for me to thank you and God bless you. Now it's time for me to say goodbye. And isn't that just so lovely? And it is a time for Wings for Life. We've had so many things, exciting things happen. I can't announce them yet because they're not all official, but there is a possibility we might have our own building someday and someday soon. So as soon as I know all these things for sure, I will definitely be letting you know. I'm so grateful to all of you that are joining us by YouTube and Facebook. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. We're trying to get our 4,000 subscribers and our 4,000 hours or 2,000 subscribers, whatever it is, because then we can actually make a little bit of money by these things too, and that'll help support us to keep doing more. So please subscribe. But if you are joining us by those two ways, this will be the end of the program. Now, if you're with us by Zoom, just stay right here because we're going to go to breakout rooms of about 4 in a breakout room. I'll go into a breakout room with at least one of the prisons, and we'll have probably about 7 or 8 minutes to talk and share amongst ourselves. Then we will come back together, and then I'd like one spokesperson at least from each breakout room to come up with questions, whatever that we have for Rob, and then of course we will be talking to Rob, and Rob will answer our questions and and address any other issues that we bring up. So now it's time to go to our breakout rooms. And so let's go to our breakout rooms, Bryce.